This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's talk about San Antonio. You're going to be headed back there for the Freeman Coliseum. It's going to be Ricky and Robert versus Ole and Arn. That's on September 30th. And meanwhile, they're doing a TV taping that same day in Rock Hill. And that's going to be how we wrap up the month of September 1986. Of course, October is the month where, unbelievably, Magnum TA has his accident, and that really changes everything. Of course, as you and I are talking, Thanksgiving is in the rearview mirror, and that really was our Thanksgiving tradition, Starrcade. And as the story goes, it was going to be Magnum TA versus Ric Flair for the world title. They call an audible, and we'll talk about the audible maybe next month or next week here on the program. But Magnum, do you think if the accident wouldn't have happened, would he have been in the main event against Flair? And would he have beaten Flair? Would he have become the NWA world champion, in your opinion, at Starrcade 86?
Not sure. I think he still had some growing to do. And it may be only 6 months. But I think he was positioned properly. He was certainly qualified. I would have probably liked to have seen a 6-month build to him having his day.
Let me ask, in your opinion, when we're talking about the NWA, there's so much other stuff to consider. Even though it's the dying days, Flair is still a touring NWA world champion. He's really the last one. And if they would have gone with Magnum, hypothetically, that would have meant Magnum is now going to be making these towns all over the world. And that would have freed up Ric Flair to be home more. I'm not sure that Flair wanted to be home more. It would have been great for Jim Crockett's business if Flair was on every show and wasn't with some of these other promoters. But I'm not sure if the other promoters believed in Magnum the way Jimmy did. Would all of those have been factors that went into the decision? I mean, by and large, Jim Crockett Promotions is the NWA here in 1986. There are other promoters, sure. There are other territories, sure. But Jimmy had the power, and given his newfound purchase with Central States, he's probably got an even bigger ally in Geigel than normal. Do you think I don't know, it's just a lot to consider, not just in terms of the creative, right? But the actual business of it. It's hard for me to wrap my head around the idea that they would have ever went with Magnum at Starrcade 86, specifically when you consider, from a creative standpoint, if you will, Crockett has done really well with a heel champion, having the babyface chase. That's not really what Vince McMahon did, right? Vince McMahon was a babyface territory. Bruno was champion for what felt like 20 years. And then Hulk Hogan needed a heel factory. So it's just a different approach. But I think Crockett and his territory and his business, even when Dusty won the world title, it was for 2 weeks. And then we're back to the bad guys, because that seems to be box office, right? The chase. Where do you land on that? Do you have a preference personally about a babyface champion or a heel champion with the babyface chasing?
Well, if you use Magnum as the example, if he wouldn't have been ready by that Starrcade to be the champion. And if you're going to have a traveling champion, there's the question, okay, Ric Flair is not available for all shows with Jim Crockett Promotions. Does that make him more valuable or less valuable? I think it makes him more valuable, to see Rick and being, in Sumter, South Carolina, just because he's available. It doesn't make it a big deal that Ric Flair's in town. It should be marquee matches, marquee towns with marquee build. And I don't think Magnum would have been ready as far as drawing everywhere that he would have went, because he was just getting rolling. It seems like a long time, but not really. When you build top baby faces, it takes time, and they have to win and win the big one when it's time. But then he would have needed to have been champion for a year before you move it on for it to have meant anything. I don't know if he was ready for that or not.
It's fascinating to think about all the what ifs and the politics and the moving pieces, but that's why we do this show, man.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.